We, from our observation last year and our measurements so far, we perceive that maybe 75% of our population is along the coast right around the island, from Port Antonio to areas in St. Thomas all the way out to Negril Point, right? And they are generally the easier ones because the main roads, for instance, you're seeing where a lot of the main roads straight through now have access. But once you start going inland, then the terrain becomes hillier, more treacherous in some places. And it also slows the pace of our restoration work. So, for instance, on the coastline, you're probably dealing with one issue. You're just dealing with getting the power lines back up. Unfortunately for the NWC, we have put generators at a number of these facilities. But when you go inland, you're dealing with flooding in some places that still remains. For instance, I visited our Martha Bray plant in Trelawney. And there are places in Falmouth, the main bridge was at William Knabe High School, which was badly damaged, as you may know. The main William Knabe, if you're standing at that property, you can still see where the river has burst its banks, and that water is still on some sections of the road going into Falmouth. Now, we are about 2 kilometers inland from that spot. And when I visited the plant on Friday, the river is normally about 15, 20 feet below where we have our intake. Again, that's a place where we collect the water, that we channel the water from the river into what we call like an underground tank. And then we use pumps to lift it into the treatment plant. At the time when I visited, the water was 6 inches from the base, the top of the tank. So the entire intake area was almost on the same level as the river. So if we get a shower of rain now, albeit there is nothing there to damage, the water will just pass through. But it's almost at ground level now. So the river has come up by about 15, 20 feet. That's the volume of water you're talking about when you go inland. Some places where we have pumps near to the river, we're having to take safety measures because the pumps can't operate underwater.
Because I was just going to ask you about that water pump at Thatch Hill, because Thatch Hill in St. Mary, this will take you back a bit, which obviously was devastated. But there is the electricity, I think, there don't seem to be a problem there. And that pump is still not connected. That is near large in St. Mary. What would be the problem there? I know it's just picking out one, but a situation like that. Let me see if I have
the latest update on it. If I don't have it, I will definitely share it with you before you come off air. But those are some of the realities in terms of just the power supply. And you can't mix electricity in direct contact with water. You know, so it's like your motor car where you make sure that the electrical components are on top, the water is below, so the gas and the radiator oil and so don't mix. Just to get a little semantic, you know? It's the same principle. So the pump, the electrical equipment is generally on some kind of concrete platform, and then we lower the mechanical parts into the water. What we are running the risk of now is trying to get the rivers to subside and then to...
I understand. I laugh because I see that the rivers, a lot of the rivers are still in spade. And there's ongoing rain in some areas. So that I understand. A pretty challenging. So, I don't know, what do we say to Jamaica listening this morning? I mean, I am one of them. Yesterday I found myself driving up and down, trying to find water, just a beard, master and tank.
All right. So let me answer you two ways. So quickly, your Thatch Hill one, it has turbidity and we still don't have power there. But we are not sitting down. So what we're looking at is, okay, we get from JPS, so Audrey and I talk, we exchanged last night, I meet with her team, my team meets with her team on a daily basis. And they are able to tell us when they complete their assessments, what time frame they foresee. What we do then is we say, okay, if we're going to wait for JPSCO and it's going to take X number of days, if the only thing we need is electricity, then we mobilize a generator to get there. We don't have an infinite number of generators. So what we do sometimes, if we source one or we move one from a location that is already back on JPSCO's power grid. Make sense?
Yes.
So we've been doing that actively. So, for instance, when power comes back, for instance, give you an instance. So yesterday we lost our logwood plant because the generator got damaged, right? We're now moving one of our internal generators to temporarily prop up Great River while we identify a replacement.
Wow.
So a plant that has already been powered,
yes.
We're doing that. And we are going on a step further. So we've looked at some locations where there are a number of other issues that are compounding it. If we're waiting for pipeline repairs and so on, we've put in temporary water stations at some locations. So we may have to look at the Tachil community and see what is needed. Similarly, we go into Martha Brae, which is on the Trelawney side. We've put up some standpipes there where customers around Falmouth or further inland can come down. So if you're up in Bounty Hall, Granville area, they can come down to the Martha Brae plant. They can fill their containers from treated water, which is safe for any kind of consumption that they have.
Okay.
All right.
And what about Minard? What about Minard? Because you mentioned Minard earlier.
Minard is one we're working to clear the access to get to the plant, and then we will be putting a generator there because the Brownstone and environs, Egypt, Benin, those places, they rely heavily on the Minard plant in operation. So the idea is that we're going to be identifying a suitable size generator while we're waiting for power supply to come back.
Urgently.
But I wanted to quickly mention Catherine Hall as well.
Okay, yes, go ahead.
Yes, so Catherine Hall is one of the locations that was badly damaged by the storm. They had a lot of mud and so in their homes, and so they need water desperately, but we do not yet have running water in the area because our Great River pipe was washed away. So what we've done is to put in 7 wayside tanks throughout the community. And we fill them throughout the day to allow persons to go and get some water in their jugs. And we continue to replenish the tanks over the next couple of days until Great River comes back into operation. But you had a question.
So water trucks are going all across the island, right? I mean,
Yes.
Do you have enough? Yes. Because this is a question that a lot of people have asked me to say. So the water trucks, we see them in the square. For example, Santa Cruz. But we don't see them in burnt ground, and we don't see them, in other areas. And it's not just that. I'm just using that as an example. That a lot of these trucks go into the urban centers, into the squares, but the people on the outskirts in these little communities, they are being deprived of everything, including water.
Right. So some of it is access, some of it is we simply, at a point like this, you're not going to have enough water trucks. We've been taking the offers from private truckers who want to partner with the fire brigade, and I think the JDF also has some relief trucks that they have been mobilizing. And what we do is that we facilitate the arrangement for the private truckers. They contract with us, or they purchase coupons so they can deliver across the areas. The access to a number of the locations is still not great. So, for instance, you heard Minister Morgan talking about just even the petrol trucks safely getting from Kingston into some of the badly damaged areas to replenish gas stations and so on.
We're going to talk to him this morning too. He's going to come on about 8.
Right, and he mentioned that one of the fear is that if the road is too narrow, then the trucks run the risk of, running off the road, or the debris, the pointed sticks and so on could puncture the tanks.
Well, I witnessed that yesterday, so I know what you're talking about.
So you have to look at the logistics. Sometimes we want the truck to get to Touch Hill, but it might get to Touch Hill and can't come back down. You know, and even some of the roadways are still quite water soaked. The ground saturation.
Let me ask you. All right, I have a friend who is stranded in burnt ground in Santa Cruz, and I spoke with her yesterday, and she told me that there are areas around there where they are dehydrated. She said water right now is just, I asked her what is the main thing. She says water. The elderly, let me give you the areas. Burnt Ground, Foster Park, Schofield, Retriever, Fagantown, Stanmore, Waterloo. Obviously Abraham is totally cut off, she told me. I didn't even know that there was a community called Abraham, but I understand it's totally cut off and nothing has reached them. That's what she told me. Then she tells me also that the New River water is rising, so that's also an issue. But
where is New River?
In the same Santa Cruz area. But so she said to me, when she was telling me this, and she talked about the extent to which people are dehydrated, including the elderly. The thing that came to my mind was, can the Water Commission place just a water truck in an area, it full and come back, and they don't move, and people can come there and just drink, and not for wash clothes and them something there now, but it's a place where say this a way you can come get some water for drink, because it seems to me as if we have that situation.
So the wayside tanks approach I spoke of, that's what we are exploring. The information flow is also what we target. So talking to you now, we can take this information back to our team, but also the other relief teams, and explore a joined up approach. So before I come off, I made a note of some of the areas. I wouldn't mind if you could share them with me fully. And let us explore community by community what is possible. If not our team, then we will ask the ODPEM to help in terms of mobilizing some relief there. Because as I said, we have water coming into Santa Cruz on one side. We also have our Luana system on the outskirts of Middle Quarter. So whichever one of those we can use to truck and get to the nearest point for these communities, then we will explore that.
I just got a text from someone who said for Thatch Hill, JPS has power right up to their location near the White River. So this is the White River.
Okay, so our assessment was as at yesterday. As I said, we check in daily to see where. And I did point out that Thatch Hill had two issues. So there is still turbidity as at yesterday, and also waiting for the JPSCO power. One thing I could point out to you as well, there is sometimes a difference between the residential power supply and what is suitable for the plant. You get me?
Okay.
Right. So your house runs on 110. In some places, persons have 220 voltage current. I don't want to even use any too technical terms. We operate at a higher voltage. So our plants run anywhere between 330 and 440. So that's one of the reasons why we check after JPSCO does their thing. Our maintenance team goes through and then confirms that the power is adequate for us. Mind you, they do make every effort to ensure that our plants are running, and once they give us the all clear, then we turn on as well. So this is good news if power is now getting close to the plant.
Yeah, the person just texted back to say that there's no...
Yeah, man, that's great news.
There's no turbidity. No, I don't know.
I appreciate this person.
And let me just say, lots of texts are coming in from across Jamaica, right? Because, and we know that there are a lot of people who are not able to text because they have no connectivity. So we're trying to get these in. For example, Accompong, what's happening there? Rio Grande Valley, what's happening there? Portland, generally, what's happening there? Somebody just texted to say Accompong seems to have a serious problem. I'm reaching Chief Curry. Please give me a call. Later on, we're going to be talking to Professor Harcourt Fuller about the work in the Rio Grande Valley. But we know that there are areas in Jamaica, St. Thomas, there's some areas we're not talking about, Delano, because they are not decimated, like Westmoreland and St. Elizabeth and St. James.
But they are still impacted.
But they are heavily impacted. And I'm telling you, I'm making a shout out while you're on the line to the Prime Minister to say, I heard you, Mr. Prime Minister, and I agree with what you've done in terms of talking to the National Housing Trust and whoever else to say give the people a 6 months moratorium. You've gone all the way to St. Anne, but remember that Hurricane Melissa exited Jamaica from northwestern St. Mary and western St. Mary. Bobby Montague, somebody talk to the Prime Minister. We can't go to work to pay no mortgage. A lot of people can't reach work. The mortgage cannot pay. All right. So sorry about that, Delano. But Delano, when you meet with them, please bring it up for me, please.
I'm going to give you a bill for that one on my account. But I understand the plight. And even while we're talking, there are a number of areas that we may not mention. And I'm happy you reminded me, that some persons are texting. We also have our social media pages. Where they can make some calls. Our contact center is available for persons to call out to us.
All right, so
and we are sharing some updates on our WhatsApp channel as well.
Can you give us any of those now?
I can give you the number for the contact center. That's 888-225-5692. So 888-225-5692 or 888-CALL-NWC. So that helps persons just to reach out to us. Let us know where you're from if you're still waiting for water supply to come. And we will explore what is the best and the fastest approach.
And finally, Delano, please do not bill the people during this time, because depression has already set in, anxiety, tension, mental health crisis. This is where we are. Can you imagine getting a water bill right now, especially for the elderly?
Well, let's put it this way. We have targeted the areas that are most impacted, and we are going to treat with that. We're going to be making an announcement within this week, starting tomorrow, in terms of how we plan to treat with those areas. We've also, literally, there will be no disconnections, as you know. We're encouraging persons who've gotten some water to help us by making some payment where you can. For the water supply.
Delano, nobody.
No, man. Hear what me I say now. Bear with me now.
Kingston and St. Andrew, but everybody else, nobody don't have no money.
Bear with me. So we're not disconnecting anybody.
Right.
We're not disconnecting anybody. But the persons who can make a little payment, we will thank you for it, because that helps to keep us operating as well.
Okay.
So that's the point I wanted to make. But the persons who are more severely impacted, definitely some amount of moratorium or relief. We will announce what that looks like for them.
All right. Delano, thank you so much. I suppose we'll talk back with you shortly, maybe next week or so on, to see where but what are you saying to the people of Jamaica? Hold strain, hang on, we're working. What is it that we leave with this morning?
It's a little bit of everything. We want to hear from you so we can continue to respond to the areas that are in most need, whatever way is possible. But we're also asking you to be patient. We're asking persons to take the guidance as well from the Ministry of Health. So we've seen a number of persons who are not yet on the NWC network who are collecting water in different places, some of them from rivers and streams. Remember to boil the water and to sterilize it.
And seawater can't flush toilet?
Well, we never tried.
Because it is going to damage the pipes.
The salt, right. But if you pour it straight into the bowl, then it might help.
No, Delano, take it back, because take it back, because a lot of people are going to do that. People are without water, and it will damage their plumbing system.
But what we want them to do is, a number of persons I've seen from near Bahia in Runaway Bay, a number of streams are also proving to be quite helpful.
Yes.
But the persons who must take this water, we're encouraging them to boil it before they consume it. Yes.
And if you're...
All right?
Yeah. Or what about putting bleach and so on? That not working?
Yeah, man. There is also some guidance from the Ministry of Health in terms of how many drops of bleach you put, depending on the volume of water. We want them to look at these sites. The information is also on the NWCE channel, which is National Water Commission Jamaica. We're on WhatsApp, and we're going to be putting it back on our YouTube page for those who can quickly check it. And that will help them just to keep their water safe at this time.
So in terms of the priority areas now, how you're doing it? Because I see JPS.
All right. So we're looking at getting, let me start west. So we're looking at getting our Black River water system back up. Mm-hmm. The one at a place called Dalintoba. In Lucy, our Logwood system, we expect to put a generator on site today. In St. James, our Great River pipeline was washed away. We're going to be getting that back online later today into tomorrow, so pumping can resume. Mm-hmm. Then we move inland. So a number of the areas, including where we serve the hospital, we're going to be targeting those. Mm-hmm. Marta Brae system is running partially on generator. We are hoping to get that. Well, if we continue water, we'll still get to locations, but just on a regulated basis. Mm-hmm. And moving towards St. Anne, St. Mary, a number of the systems that are turbid, we will be clearing them. So once the river is clear enough, meaning clearing them of the dirt and the trash and so on, mm-hmm. and then we sterilize. So once the river is clear enough, then we can resume. Mm-hmm. Similarly for Portland. And then on the southern side, a number of systems between Clarendon, St. Catherine. St. Catherine is substantially good, mm-hmm. barring some inland systems that are still turbid and waiting for power. And similarly for St. Thomas, a few are still outstanding. Mm-hmm. So that's our overall approach. Southern Trelawney, turbid. Southern St. James, similarly, both electricity and turbidity. Mm-hmm. And some sections of Hanover. So those we are trying to target as we have access and power to move.
Okay, and what time frame you're looking at?
It's going to vary depending on the level of damage that is there, mm-hmm. and how quickly we can get water back safely.
So we know the pipes are also out. We're looking at next year.
No, not so much for that. And if we do see something going to take us several months, then we'll explore what alternatives are possible.
All right. So things should be back and up and running for Christmas.
It's going to be weeks for some, and we'll keep you posted.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Man. Thank you so much, Delano. And we'll talk to you. Hopefully we'll talk to you next week. Delano Williams, Acting Corporate Public Relations Manager of the National Water Commission. Thanks, Delano.
All right. Thanks for having me.
All right. This is an ongoing situation. I can tell you how challenging it is. I am going through this. We're speaking from our own experience, and we're identifying with the rest of Jamaica, those who weren't so badly hit, but were hit hard enough that you have leaking where you never know. So you have leaks, some of your roof gone. Some people in these areas have lost all their roofs. Some people have massive leakings, their destruction in the home, destruction in the farm, unable to go to work, unable to hustle, and without electricity. So there's teachers are involved in this. Students are part of this. So there's a whole swathe of Jamaica, not St. Elizabeth or Westmoreland or St. James, that's reeling also from the hurricane and are now frustrated just as anyone else. We have to talk about this. We have to be very nuanced, very balanced. Some of us have some serious guilt because we know that we're not decimated. We're not devastated. And so we don't want to talk about the rest of us. But remember, the rest of us, there are many who are having problems with hydration. They have no water, no access to food, and no access, generally speaking. So this thing has to be triaged. It has to be triaged, and it has to be properly triaged. And I know one person who's been doing that in a serious way is the Mayor of St. Anne's Bay, Michael Belnavis, who now joins me on the telephone lines. Mayor Belnavis, good morning. I know you yourself are going through some of this that we're talking about, so you can identify with what we're talking about here.
Oh well, I live in the parish and in particular Ochirea, so I'm living it right now. But Cabo, good morning. I to you and your listeners. I just received an email from a villa owner who said that we need to speak out and let individuals know that Ochirea is ready, because he's getting cancellations from the narrative and the videos that's coming in from St. Elizabeth and the other devastated areas. So people are in the diaspora and people who are abroad are getting the impression that the entire Jamaica looks like that, which is not necessarily the truth. I mean, we're going through mosquitoes and the like.
So it's Ochirea is ready with?
Well, he's saying that Ochirea is not that badly affected.
Right, in terms of, and he's what you said, what owner?
Infrastructurally, I mean, we have issues in it, because the fact that we don't have any light, that in itself is a debilitating thing on the economy, the businesses, people's homes. People, you can't do any business, and to sleep at night is a disaster. Mosquitoes and. Yeah, but the cost associated.
Okay, I get the point you're making. Yeah. Right, so what are the? I know when we spoke, you were out handing out, ensuring that people were getting care packages and so on. Talk to us about the areas of St. Anne that are most impacted.
It's really up in the hills of St. Anne, the Cave Valley area, the Gibraltar area, those areas up in the hills where agriculture is devastated and people have lost their roof. On the coast, you have individuals that have been have lost their roof, but it's sporadic. So we've assisted with tarpaulins, and this week we're looking to assist with some building materials like spring sheets and so on. So we're moving in that direction. And I said we, the Member of Parliament, Matthew Smuda, Municipal Corporation, Minister of Labour and Social Security, those three individuals.
And with that support, are you reaching the people who need to be reached in Orange Hill, for example, in Brownstown?
Brownstown, yeah. Yeah. Absolutely, because the councillors have been out there. And, as a councillor, it's kind of like your job to go out and find out who have been damaged and so on. So the listings have come in. So we know exactly who the individuals are. And we've been giving out food care packages, food baskets, and so on from last week, right after the hurricane. To individuals who may find it difficult to get food and so on.
Okay, so what's the immediate need now for the most impacted areas in St. Anne?
The rebuilding, because the water has somewhat subsided, so we're able to go into some of those areas. We've put together a program to cut the trees that have fell along the roadways, the inner roadways, and we were proactive in that we gave each councillor for the division several $1 million before the hurricane to cut trees and to clean gullies and drains and so on. So that has helped significantly. So the trees have well fell now. We just need to get those picked up and cleaned out, which is what we're doing. If you see what's happening in Ochirea along the main thoroughfare, you'll see that that process is in motion now. Where we the night after the hurricane, we went and I was with the fire department, and they did a fantastic job in just clearing a way for people to pass. I was able to drive from St. Anne's Bay at the Emergency Operating Center the same night to all the way to St. Mary to get a feel for what was going on. And also I went to Bahia Principe.
Were you able to pass the Rainier River Bridge? Because that was blocked by about 10 big trees.
Yeah, they were able to cut a one lane road, and then thereafter, within the next day or two, they were able to clean and push everything to the side. So now they're doing all stuff has put to the side is now being removed. So 2 weeks later, so Ochirea is. So you
feel like you feel as if you're on track to outside of the electricity, which still hasn't returned, that you're on track to rebuild in a short time.
Well, I tell you, Cabo, we have 4 cruise ships coming next week, and the pier is now repaired. And we have a little ceremony thing to invite the first ship in. And the ironic thing is that the ship that is coming is the carnival
Carnival Cruise.
Carnival Cruise Line, but I don't remember the name of it. And Carnival Sunrise. And that is the same ship that right after COVID, when they were going to test the waters with Jamaica, Carnival Sunrise was the same ship that came. So to me, it's a sunrise of blessing.
But I have people texting into me while you're talking, Mayor, and they're saying that it's not as hunky dory as you're making it. I have people texting in to say St. Anne. There are areas in St. Anne that are still going under serious in crisis. And they're thanking you because you reached some of them, but they're saying no, there are devastated areas in St. Anne where people are still unable to go to work, people are still unable to make a living, and on top of that, without electricity, and in some areas without water. So they are under course. So I'm getting that text.
Well, the water, I can address the water thing. Some of those areas have issues with water in the first place. But as it stands right now, I think the water commissioners, they have done a good job in keeping the water supply going, because they have generators at the various pumping stations. And it's not perfect, but I believe that they are to be commended for the efforts.
Yes.
Now, I think the economic issues are really... The issues led by the JPS situation.
Okay.
Because that has a significant impact on everything. It has impact on the generation of electricity. It has impact on the generation of water. Because you need the electricity to charge the pumps. It has impact on businesses. Businesses can't function without electricity. It has, if everybody
and so it's a domino effect. So people are not getting paid. So what the Prime Minister has done, which is to say, a moratorium, for example, on mortgages and some other stuff, and the loan that can be had from the NHD and the $500,000. Because I'm thinking about homeowners now too, right? That what else do you think need to be done for persons who it's not necessarily their home, they were renting, or they're in areas where that the roof is gone and now they find themselves out, which I know is happening in St. Anne. What plans are there? Can you say for those persons?
Well, my bank manager called me and asked me if I wanted an extension of my car loan. Because of the hurricane, they did that after COVID too.
Oh, you're lucky, sir.
Yeah, man, we can loan too.
So your bank manager call you because you're the mayor. We not get no call like that.
You don't get a call like that?
No, sir.
Call him and say they want a little extra time. But I didn't bother with it because, time, more, they want interest.
Yes.
But the fact is that they called. I know that NHT will give you a little extension on your payment right now. So just go into your NHT office and cry. Because in crying, everybody's listening right now.
I'm gonna read a text to you, right? Mayor, you know how Mayor you're good, right? But I'm gonna read a text at you. So this text coming in from a listener says, is tourist area. Him don't want people to think it's still bad. Don't let him downplay it. This is what the text say.
Yeah, all right. So, what areas are coming from?
St. Anne.
Yeah, but which part? St. Anne's Bay?
Yes, outside of St. Anne's Bay, one of those areas.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not quite sure where the person just said St. Anne's Bay, so I'm not sure.
Okay.
I don't know who the person is.
I know, but I can respond to St. Anne's Bay.
Yeah.
I was there during the hurricane. St. Anne's Bay, on the coast, it was probably the worst affected area. I saw the roof coming off, and the municipal corporation, the windows were blown in, and the CEO's office, we lost part of the roof, we lost the infirmary roof. The hospital, entire ward roof went, plus the dietary. So all the government offices there had issues. And it's really have issues because some of them are not even repaired. I just tarpaulins, but people are still functioning in water boots and so on in the dietary because the food has to be prepared for the guests. People being in the infirmary and the hospital itself. So we're functioning. There are a lot of roofs that went in St. Anne's Bay.
Yes.
And There's some relief coming. They can go to the Member of Parliament office or the Minister of Labour and Social Security, and they'll get some support.
And this is critical because I know that a lot of people in St. Ann's Bay lost their roofs, entire roofs, right?
Yes.
And are still without their homes. Some lost partial roof. You know, and this is between northwestern St. Mary, western St. Mary, all the way back to St. Ann's Bay. The way this hurricane worked, I don't think Oterias itself, the town of Oterias, it somehow seemed like it's going on one kind of horseshoe situation where it mashed up northwestern St. Mary and western St. Mary, and then into St. Ann's Bay. I don't know if it's because Ochi not about, but a lot of people lost their roofs on both sides. And so the point then is, and I'm going to ask you to do me a favor again, Mayor Belnavis, because we heard the Prime Minister saying, and I've been saying this all morning, and I'm saying rightfully so, that there are some areas that were really badly hit, and they've come to some agreement with the NHT to say a 6 month moratorium on mortgage, and I think that's brilliant. But somehow they have left out northwestern St. Mary and western St. Mary, all the way across the Nova Bridge, all the way up to, say, Boscobel, or even all the way to Orocabessa, if you will. There has to be some consideration for the people there who have lost roofs, who have lost home, who cannot go to work, who don't have water, light, nor anything. It seems as if it's a forgotten area. And I know you are St. Ann's Bay, but you're up on the line, so that's why Bobby Montague, call Bobby for me, Mayor, and ask him what is happening with Western St. Mary. Because this neglect of what has happened in Western St. Mary and Northwestern St. Mary, from your cross, you cross White River, we see what happened at Couple Sans Souci, right? We see what happened down there, so all the way up through Prospect, all the way up through Pompano, going back to Rio Nuevo. Rio Nuevo was decimated. That's St. Mary we're talking about. Then you go to Huddersfield. Then you go to Stewarttown, Boscobel, Orocabessa. There has to be some consideration for these people, Mayor Belnavis.
No, absolutely. That's why I said earlier on that the members of Parliament are now starting to distribute assistance. We're doing in Northeast and with Machisamude, those individuals who have been affected, we've gone out as councillors, got the names of those individuals, surveyed their situation, and now we have some support in the form of some sort of vouchers to go to some hardware stores to get some assistance. We've been giving out tarpaulins, some of which I went and got because I couldn't get through the system quick enough, so I went and got so much from that local hardware store. And we've gotten good support from the Chinese community and different entities to assist with hot lunches, give care packages and so on to assist in because when you get damage to a roof, it's not just the roof, the furnace gets damaged, the bed. I mean, it's total nightmare for you. So we try to assist in that arena with some care packages and so on, because and the ATMs were down to cash availability of cash.
Mayor, the dehumanization of the Jamaican has to stop. The dehumanization of the masses of the Jamaican people have to stop. What the banks in St. Anne, in Oterias, we saw lines of snaking around buildings for 4 hours. People were in line from 5 a.m. until 10 a.m. only to be told that the ATM not working. Mayor Belnavis.
It was terrible, man.
Mayor Belnavis. The dehumanization of the Jamaican people must stop. The banks have failed the Jamaican people. Up to yesterday, people were snaking. You want to come and orchard to see people trying to get money from the ATM. I'm not talking about school open back.
Yeah, they said no money, no cash is around.
No
the
cash is
around. ATM's not working. The card, you can't use your card.
And you can't go in the bank.
Yeah, can't go in the bank.
Mayor,
you can't get any food because if you can't use your card, you can't get food out of the supermarket. So it's depressing times.
It's a dehumanization of the Jamaican people. Yeah.
The part of the same JPS.
I don't blame JPS because the banks. No, hold on, Mayor. Hold a sec there, Mayor. The gas stations, all of the petrol stations, up and running. You know why? Some of them have solar power.
Generators.
Some of them have generators. I like what Mr. Boot has done.
They all have generators.
Mr. Boot is powering us with solar power just next door to us. And so you can go there anytime. All the petrol stations are open, up and running. Solar, if it's not solar, it's generator. The banks, these multinational corporations have failed the Jamaican people and treating the people like slaves, like enslaved people on a slave ship. The lines that are snaking around every single bank, from Jamaica National to NCB to Scotia Bank. And the people are leaving without money. Mayor, are you prepared for the mental health crisis?
Well, I tell you something, before the hurricane, 40% of the people that come to the Finance Bay Regional Hospital have some sort of emotional situation, if you want to put it that way. So you can imagine, after this hurricane, after they've gone through all of this trauma, it's going to be, the ripple effect is going to be traumatic for us. I mean, these are the results of post-traumatic stress syndrome type of situations that we're going to have to deal with, because it's not easy. I mean, I'm living it right now in St. Anne's, and people saying, oh yes, we're not necessarily that infrastructurally, but guess what? It is difficult to operate in a modern environment where you're accustomed to certain your light, your water, your internet. You go to bed at night, you rest for the 7 or 8 hours, you can produce and so on the next day. Everything is good, but when you get dislocated, you don't have a bed to sleep in. You have to catch sleeping in a vehicle. You can't function. Everybody has to go home at 3 o'clock in the evening if you have a job. People, thousands of people that are laid off from the hotels. Every hotel along the coast is closed.
Let me tell you something.
It's difficult.
Let me tell you something. My husband is a medical doctor, and he has a private surgery, and he cannot reach his office.
Yeah.
And this is just me telling you that. This is my personal business. I just tell you. So there are a lot of people who cannot reach them office, who cannot reach work, who don't have no electricity, no water, so it don't even make them go. It doesn't make sense them go. And a lot of the businesses are closed. The hotels, how many hotels closed?
Oh gosh, I mean, we want to start by couples in St. Mary there, right? Sandals, the couples. You're talking the whole other couples, all the Sandals, all the Moon Palaces, all the Bahia, Principe, Rio, and all the guest houses along the way.
All these hotels and guest houses are closed.
Yeah, closed. There's thousands of people not. I mean, and the employment rate for you're talking thousands of people who are employed to these entities, because this is a tourism belt.
Are they still getting? Are they still getting paid? The hotels closed.
From what I understand, no, they just laid off.
But nothing can go, sir.
Later.
No. I know you don't tell lie, but you're lying. You're not. There's no truth in what you just said. How many thousands of people are we talking about?
Well, one hotel, like Bahia Principe, you're looking at several thousand employees, and I understand that they actually have a setup where the children and so on can come, and there's something going on in that arena. But that's a good story for you to check out, because...
So the hotels are closed. The workers in the hotels are thousands of workers in St. Anne. This is a hotel. This is a tourism belt.
Yes.
Right? And the guest houses are closed. Mm-hmm. You're talking about thousands more.
Yes.
And these people are now sent home to places where they don't have no roof, where the thing is leaking, where they have no access, where the bank is closed and they cannot, and the ATM don't have any money. I ask you again, and I ask Jamaica, are we ready for the mental health crisis that is about to burst upon this island?
Yeah.
And then I also ask the tourism industry, why would not open the hotel them will close and put the people them in there who homeless for now, who are without a home for now? So first, feed them and make sure that they're getting paid. Then Mayor, you allow that to happen? All the hotels.
Most of those are private entities, but we do some moral suasion. We have calls.
So what about what private entities? But them have to operate in a public country, and what kind of contracts have they signed that they can discard and devalue and discard and dump people who have been working for them for years like slaves anyway, and just shut up and gone at a time like this? No, Mayor Bell Navis.
Yeah, no. Yeah. It's a sad state of affairs.
No.
And we brought it to the fore, and it's an issue that is out there that needs to be addressed. I know some most guest houses, the people are come and go whenever there's a guest. So if there's no guest, then there's no coming. So let's stay home. So there's definitely no pay.
We're talking guest houses is one thing. Yes, okay, fine. But they're also wealthy. But you have multinational corporations. Yes, you have. Where are the unions? Where is the National Workers Union? These people not unionized because they're on contracts. You see, right. There is a scam that is going on this island where you're putting people on
contract workers.
So you can dash them, yes, and dash them. Let's make a tell them something. You see all these workers that lay off and cannot send them to school. Mayor, I'm struggling to eat a hot meal. Which me living, I'm struggling to eat a hot meal, right?
Yeah.
I see how dangerous this is. My husband has been to the bank many times and can't get 1 cent from the ATM.
Right. And without
cash,
saying? How you operate, and you can't use a credit card.
You can't use a credit card.
Yeah.
I am calling on all the farmers who they are Kingston who can some food, can give me. Please get some food, can drop it off at KHERU FM. Because, this is very, very serious what we're going through here, I speak on behalf of all the hotel workers. What are you going to do now, Mayor, about the hotel workers who are just dash back into the community?
It goes right back to the contract that they have. The contract needs to, as far as I'm concerned, need to be reevaluated.
But Mayor, we're going to have to become something bigger than we are right now.
Yeah.
You're going to have to be more than a mayor right now. You're going to have to be an empathetic mayor, and to come out and call Adam Stewart and call the Moon Palace people and call all these people. You have their numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And say, what about your workers? You have to be something greater than you are now. And I know that you are that kind of person. I've known you long before you enter politics.
Yes.
You are this kind of person. So I would suggest that, I know it's not a politically correct thing to do, but you talk about working with Matthew Samuda. Have a conversation with him. Let us talk to the hotels. What happened to these people? And they're talking the stress that these parents are under. Remember that the education ministry is saying back to school, And some of these people, you have people who are teachers who are under this very same stress, nurses who are under this very same stress, right?
Mm-hmm.
Parents with children losing them job left, right, and center. Where is the Minister of Education in all of this? Schools reopening, schools not preparing lunch for the students. What about the students who are on path? What are we doing? My heart goes out to St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, and St. James. And last week I spent the whole time on that. Dayton Campbell was here. He broke down and cried. But this week we are saying there's St. Anne is about to buckle like.
Our situation is not on the surface. Our situation is in the moral situation that we have to deal with the hoteliers, the mental breakdown of individuals who cannot deal with this new phone crisis. Those individuals who become homeless, those individuals who become desperate because they can't get money to move around, lack of food.
I have a friend in St. Anne's Bay who lose their entire roof. My sister, my own sister, who is a cancer patient, who lives on the other side of St. Mary in Western St. Mary, lose her entire roof.
Yeah. Western St. Mary.
Yeah, these are the kind of things we're talking about. So St. Anne's Bay, Western St. Mary. And to me, the response and what is in place for people in these areas, the areas that are not totally decimated, is that I don't see a triaging. As I said when you came on, I see that you are doing this triage, right? I talked to you and I know you, but there has to be a national strategy of triaging. Who is leading this restoration, recovery, healing process? Where is the team? Who is the healer in chief? Where are the people who are looking at the people to see what the people going through?
No, those are fundamental questions, Cabo. And I know that certainly from the municipal corporation perspective, we've been doing a lot of that. I've been able to just make an effort to get food supplies. The business community have to step up to the plate. We've been handing out food baskets. Yes. We're getting materials out there now. Those individuals, they have to step up to the plate, as you've rightly said, and just deal with some situations with the hotels and try and so we can get some moral situations there so they understand. But I tell you, some of the hotels are opening up this week. They're saying they're opening this week. And, but, the fallout on this now, Cabo, is that even though the hotels are opening, they've had so much cancellations that these are
multinational corporations.
No, I'm not from that
perspective. Let me just finish. No, let me finish. But disaster mitigation is written into their very business policy. These are multinational corporations. This kind of disaster written into them business policy. They must do better than this.
That is fine, and I'm not worried about their viability because they are multinational, they can withstand it, and they have insurance for these type of things. But what I'm saying is that the dislocation of workers, that's the point I'm moving towards.
Dislocation, work. Okay, I see. I didn't let you finish. Right. So you're saying that they're opening, but where are the workers?
Right, so they're going to come in with 10% workers because they don't have that amount of guests and so on. So there's a big dislocation for the workers, even though the hotels are opening, because they're not going to take back everybody. So people are going to be out there for months without some job.
I have a friend who called me last week, say, good, last night, say, good brother walking up and down in the street at Ochi.
Yeah.
You understand me? Yeah. Walking up and down in a Ochi need rehabilitation right now. Do you understand?
Several of them. I know them. When I pass them, they all call me by name. But
these are not mad people. No, these are people who are traumatized.
So fortunately, we have the drop-in center that's been functioning right through the hurricane, right there in Bucksfield, where they can come and get 3 meals, to change of clothes, shower.
Okay, great.
Some mental therapy.
Yes.
Religious therapy.
Exactly. What do people do now? Because we're out of time, Mayor. What do people do now in St. Anne who are listening to you? What are the options they have? Should they contact you? I mean, what should they do?
Yeah, man. Depending on who you are and the level of damage that you may have incurred. The municipal corporation, my office, the MP's office, Matthew Samuda, Bobby Montague, I'm sure, along the stretch here. We can assist you in the drop-in center.
I want to hear from Bobby, but go ahead, yes.
Yeah, the minister in a big way. And when people say I'm speaking too positive, if we don't speak positive, the cruise ships will not come.
We have to balance it.
So we have to balance it. So there's a tightrope that we walk. But I can't say things are good when it's not good. I can't say things are bad when it, I have to emphasize.
There has to be a balance.
So it has to be a balance.
Let me know when you have spoken to the hotels, and we'll have a conversation again on that.
Yes, that is going to be critical because you're talking thousands of people right there.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mayor Bill Navis. As always, appreciate your time.
Thank you, and you stay safe.
You too.
Cabo, thank you so much.
All right, we need to go to speak to the mayor of St. Mary, and I know I have a backup of ads, so let me just do this quickly. Talk to them as quickly as we can. There are meetings and there are things they have to do. So we're just going through our ads, make sure that we just put our promos in a category and put our main ads, and I know it's going to be a problem later on, but the system will understand while we get to the mayors. All right? But I'm not quite sure what's happening because I'm playing and I'm not hearing anything. And I got all red and everything. All right, 7 minutes after 8 o'clock, and I am playing the ads, but I'm not getting them. All right, let me go to the phone lines and speak with our very next special guest, Mayor Fitzroy Wilson, Mayor of Port Maria. Mayor Wilson, thank you so much for taking the time. I know when I spoke to you that you'll be pretty busy this morning, but you've taken a few minutes to talk to us, just to speak to your constituency and to say to the people of St. Mary what has happened so far and the plans that are in place. What are the damages like in St. Mary? What kind of damage do you have, and which areas are more impacted?
Morning to you and morning to our listeners. Morning to citizens of Jamaica. Well, I must say that we are grateful to God Almighty. We, comparing to other parishes, we consider ourselves very fortunate because we are spared a lot of the destructions that exist elsewhere.
Yes.
Nonetheless, persons would have had similar experiences with the horrific thing, their roofs being blown off, maybe not as much as other areas, but right across especially Western St. Mary. And Kabul, let me, I heard you earlier on, let me correct you.
Yes.
We don't have a northeast in St. Mary, we have a southeast.
No,
heard you.
north.
Yes,
I'm talking. So I meant northwest, and I said northwest.
Yeah, northwest. Yes. So,
yeah. So we don't have a northwest. We have a Western St. Mary,
a central, and a southeast.
Yeah, but politically, but geographically.
Okay.
So in terms of where the hurricane exited,
yeah,
at the north and to the west.
Yeah.
Because areas like Rio Nuevo, you would have seen what happened in Rio Nuevo, right?
Yeah, man, I live in that geographical area, so I can tell you firsthand. It was frightening because I've never seen this level of destruction of trees and everything since in any time that I've seen any hurricanes or depressions come to the island.
That's true.
And it is somewhat frightening.
Yes.
But we continue. I might not be able to be as upbeat as my mayor colleague in St. Anne, and is convinced that we're doing enough because despite the fact that St. Mary was spared the most danger, we've not seen even electricity comes back to Stuart Town, the Fleming International Airport, the tower is coming down. And we would have had minimal damages in these areas. Without electricity, you would understand that commerce is at a standstill. And without electricity, our Airbnbs that generate most of our U.S. earnings for these areas is not able to operate. Without the electricity, most of the areas that is inland is not able to be generated by water. Because it is an elevated parish in which gravity feed does not do much for those, and most of the source is just the bog water source that is in St. Anne that actually comes on the main that people really benefit from now. Yes. Most of the other sources are out for water. So there's not a good picture to paint that St. Mary is in a good state.
Hold the line for me, Mayor. I'm going to come right back to that. Hold the line. Of Hurricane Melissa. And you're saying, Mayor, that the greatest challenge, one of the greatest challenges you're facing now and the people of St. Mary are facing has to do with all of the consequences and the ramifications from the lack of electricity, including what appears to be a shutdown of the economy in a way, you're saying?
Yes, exactly. Because I would have reached out to the hotels and the Airbnbs and the villas, most of them here in St. Mary, and they are very much concerned. We would look at the employees who might be out of a job. For example, I would have spoken to the Golden Eye. Golden Eye is one of our beacon of properties in St. Mary and in Jamaica.
Yes.
It's one of our premier resorts where maybe the rich and famous comes.
Yes.
The only damage I got reported that occurred on that property would have been trees that was broken down. And if you went back to Golden Eye, maybe 3 days after the hurricane, you might see where the branches cut from, but you wouldn't see any debris on the ground or anything like that. So St. Mary is kind of open for business.
So
what is struggling is that the cancellation has been so harsh for these the Morgans. We have a number of players in St. Mary.
Mayor, we're not hearing you so well. I'm not quite sure if you've moved, and I know the connection is very poor because we also have a Digicel problem and a flow problem. Connectivity is almost nil in St. Mary.
Yes. I sit one place and I still, because I moved to I might not be able to hear me.
And we were hearing you very well before, but now it's all scrambled.
Yes, you're not hearing me now?
Wow, it's still bad. I wonder if we allow Mayor to hang up and we dial him right back, if we'll get, let me hear you now, Mayor. How are you now?
Are you hearing me now?
Yeah, I'm hearing you a little bit better. Let's try. Let's continue. Let's see what happens. So you're saying St. Mary is ready, and could be up and running for business, but the utilities are the main problem. So you're talking about water and electricity.
Yes, we're talking about water and electricity. It is. Are you hearing me much better now?
Much better, yes.
All right. It is something that will affect even our farmers. Yeah. Most of our farmers depend on these, the water. So we're saying that I'm not hearing the Ministry of Tourism going on an international market, painting a picture to say that for those tourists who usually go to Jake's and so on in St. Elizabeth, you have similar situation in Portland. You can now go to Portland. You can get that greenery, you can get that home-style tourism in Portland. Switch it up and not just send some grim pictures to get aid from abroad.
And you also have you have similar hotels and guest houses and small tourist attractions in St. Mary. So you're talking about Portland and St. Mary. So it's interesting.
So we would not have to be settling with all those because I don't think the message is going to the international market to say that the Airbnbs are still operational. The greater emphasis placed on restoring electricity in these areas where there's no major damages, and so that even if one section of the island is down for a while, the other section of the island should be there to be able to drive the economy, so that the fallout is not that great. We are not seeing that emphasis being placed on St. Mary. The JHTA has St. Mary as a part of their Ocho chapter. They don't spend any money in Ocho. The tourism product does not come across the bridge in Ocho, in White River. But yet we are a part of it, and it spans all the way to Port Maria. We don't see anything for St. Mary. The Antwerp International Airport is marketed as Ocho. Most of the resorts here is more marketed as Ocho. So when on the national market you hear that Ocho is damaged, then you think that the entire stretch of tourism and product is also damaged because you don't have a St. Mary product on the market for tourism. And that is where we go wrong.
All right, and that is tourism, and that obviously will feed back into the economy. In terms of the people, somebody like myself, who we're talking about Western St. Mary, and we'll say Northwestern again in terms of the geography when we're talking about crossing the bridge at Rio Nuevo and going all the way up. So that there are many people in that area, and I talked about my sister a while ago. I mean, she's lost her roof. She's out of that house, she and her family, and she has cancer. I mean, she's ill. and you have, I mean, I have leak in my house. I'm going to have to tear up the whole of my upstairs and take up all of the floorboarding, or else die from something that is, leaking under there. And so we have these issues. My husband can't reach to work. I am talking on behalf of most of the people who are living in those areas. But even then, we are not seen as having any issue. We don't necessarily work where we live. We work out of town. The area that you're saying have the issue is the area where we work in, and we cannot reach it. So even that, we have no access to money because the banks are closed and the ATMs are out of money and the lines are snaking for miles and miles and miles around from 5 o'clock in the morning till 12 o'clock only for you, so you don't have no access to the money. This is a dystopian situation that we're living in. So the tourism aside, Mayor, what about the people? And why don't we have the same kinds of contingencies being put in place, like, for example, the mortgage payments with NHT? I think this is critical, and I think it's a good idea. But are we dropping the ball somewhere in the meetings with the Prime Minister? What are you saying? What is Bobby Montague saying in these meetings? We are not okay.
I will agree with you. Sometimes when you come on these programs and you speak the truth, people will think that you're playing politics or you're being not supportive. But I for one, I don't know how to have blood under my tongue and spit white. I don't know if that is possible. We are not having the conversation as it ought to be. I, as a mayor that ran on the PNP ticket and here, I don't have the same seat at the table. I don't think I have the same seat at the table as maybe Mayor Bell Nevis does with the communication.
Really?
For example, since we've had this hurricane, we've not had a sit-down or a meeting with the Minister of Local Government to hear our concerns in St. Mary and to see whatever. I've not heard of one allocation that has been made to St. Mary to aid with the assistance of the person, other than at a meeting with the Prime Minister and the leader of the opposition, where $250,000 was earmarked to help with care packages. How much person $250,000 can per division that can assist? We are grateful for those because it will help you to go out and maybe get the most needy person for one day, and it will serve them for a day or two. I am not for one who fish for nobody. I will tell you that I will want to be able to help you to fish for yourself. Christmas is coming up. We should be able to go there and give people 150 chicken and some feeding and say, start back life. We should be able to go there and these are the things that I'm going on. have not had that opportunity to speak with even my Minister of Local Government to see as councillors meet with my minister and say this is the way forward. We would, our earnings, own source earnings in the municipal corporation would have been maybe zero now. You wouldn't have persons putting in plans and keeping parties without electricity, without anything. Most of our own source revenues are down to nothing. We're saying that the economy of St. Mary needs to have that conversation. The banks, I have one of those persons who would have always been championing. We see in Port Maria only the National Commercial Bank that you can go in and actually do banking. Now we hear that Scotia is coming up back. How can you go into a rural area and talk about cashless banking when some of the persons doing the internet to access internet banking? I am saying that this is the wrong way to go. When we would have moved most of our commerce from our capital in Port Maria, we don't have a Jamaica JPS office that you can go to complain. We have to go all the way to St. Anne's Bay. So we're saying that over the years these things have been done. I know as a new mayor come with championing for these things and with the powers that be. Parliament is the issues. And if Parliament hold these investors and these people accountable, the mayor can't do much more. I don't know which mayor have that authority that can do all these things that when they go into Parliament, they pass these laws and give them these permission to do all these things. The only thing we can do is try to motivate our people on the ground to not support these people or rise up against them. which when you do that, they're going to say that you're counterproductive.
Well, you see,
but I strongly believe that for people.
I hear you say that you have had no meeting since the passage of the hurricane with the Minister of Local Government. All right. So up to this point, no meeting. Is this a moment now for you to request this meeting?
Yes, and we would have been asking, and I'm hoping that it is the communication tools that would have prevented. So I'm hoping that because of the telephone and the internet issue, that is why we haven't heard anything.
This is also another problem, a big problem. The connectivity.
Come tomorrow morning when I go in and we meet with the CEO. We would have sat with the municipal corporation, the administrative arm. I would have seen them suffering, trying to go through, humbled in one space, trying to make things happen for the parish. We have no electricity. We have one generator in one area where all the different departments have to come in one area, humbled, and trying to make things happen for the parish. It is not okay in St. Mary.
What do you need? What do you need urgently?
We need electricity urgently. With electricity will come internet access, because most of the transmission area for the internet is run by the JPS. And without the JPS, because of vandalism and larceny, most of the transmission area for the both major telecommunication in Jamaica, they normally steal the gas or the fuel from these areas. So I think most of them have moved away from the generating thing to electricity. And it has caused a problem. And whilst we would have seen a greater emphasis in getting the roads in St. Mary cleared, because as a municipal corporation, I would have allocated funds to all 13 divisions before the hurricane came in, with the mindset to say that in the event that the hurricane comes in, and if there are even any critical drains that needs to be cleaned, let us do so before the flooding even comes in. And after the hurricane, no councillor should have any reason as to say why somebody is marooned in their community, unless that money is finished.
This is the point. This question I was going to ask. Are all the roads now cleared in St. Mary?
Well, I am not sure of any road. I heard from Mr. Montague some in the remote areas, Carnal going up to Guys Hill. I'm not certain, because I have not heard from the councillor since I spoke with Mr. Montague, which was, I think, on Friday. But owing to that, we would have made clear, because one thing we learned from last year with Beryl is that if you don't have access that the Jamaica Public Service and NWC personnel can go in, do their assessment, it takes a longer recovery time. So I would have given those instructions from both the Roads and Works Department, the Chief Engineering Officer, and the councillors, that as much as possible, clear these roads. And we would have allocated money from the SGR to do so, and we look forward. I know that maybe this will not go to the entire way, but it is an improvement than what existed before. That even after the hurricane or during the hurricane, councillors would have been in touch and being able to go tomorrow, call the chief engineering officer, send one officer here, or take a picture and say, this tree has fallen down. It will take someone to pay. You could get permission because you have funds within that was allocated to your account So we would have moved and done a whole lot. And for the entire years now, I've seen vast improvement. I've seen big traffic going through. So it is an improvement for all users like this.
All right. Okay, so we'll talk to you again, hopefully by next week to see where things are. I do concur with you that electricity is a main issue right now because so many other things are connected to whether or not there's electricity. But also the question of, so St. Mary is an alternative to Treasure Beach. Portland is an alternative to Treasure Beach. So while you have those areas down, then send the people to these areas. Portland, St. Mary, but of course you're going to need water and you're going to need electricity. Mayor, in the meantime, let us identify the people who really need help, and let us have a look again at the people in the Rear Nova, Huddersfield, Three Hills, up in, off the main, the people in Ocean Ridge, the people in Stewarttown, in Galena. I noticed that Galena was not hard hit, but there are some areas where the hurricane exited the island, where they were literally in the wind, in the razor sharp edge of the wind. And people have lost their homes in that. So let us...
And if I may, I just want to tell the people of Jamaica...
Out of time. I'm so sorry, Mayor. I'm so sorry. So to the communities most affected by the hurricane, small acts, big impact, make Jamaica irie again. Work. And the extent to which the damage caused, the Hurricane Melissa we're talking about, caused so many communities to be cut off from each other. The work coming out of the NAA and under the leadership of Robert Nestor Morgan has been pretty efficient. We're going to be having a talk with him in this segment of the program. As you heard, most people who came online this morning talked about the connectivity both ways. One, the ability to get to communities, and secondly, telephone connectivity. It seems as if the work from the Ministry of Works, though, highly efficient during this period. Minister Robert Nestor Morgan, thank you so much for joining us inside of the program this morning.
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
We're hearing you loud and clear. Thank you so much.
It sounds very low.
I heard that. You know what? Are you hearing me any at all?
I am hearing you, but I have to have in my headset. But that's okay. We can go ahead.
All right, because I've been hearing this. But we're in one of the areas that kind of get hit little badly. And yes, even though there's not a lot of talk about it, we are reeling still from Melissa. But I was just saying, Robert, that your ministry, we have seen a high level of efficiency coming out of the Ministry of Works during this entire period. And everyone has said that without contradiction. So let me commend you on that, first of all.
Thank you very much. Thanks to the team and all the volunteers and all the contractors, because the ministry is nobody without the people who do the work.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about the challenges, because looking on Kingston and St. Andrew, obviously to some extent because of some parts of St. Andrew, but generally spared this. And if you're in that area, you'd think nothing is happening across Jamaica unless you're paying attention. But for the rest of us, we couldn't even reach to our parents in the adjoining community. How challenging was it?
Well, it was very challenging. I mean, immediately after the hurricane, we had a plan to really try to prepare for it, but you can't really prepare for a Category 5. No matter how much drain cleaning you do, you're going to have flooding. And what was very typical of this hurricane is the wind and saturation, because we have had rains consistently over the last several weeks, so the ground had no space to hold any more water. Mm-hmm. So immediately as the hurricane left us, we had to reach ground zero, and that became a task because the main road to ground zero was through Holland bamboo, and that was totally blocked. And it's not like trees that you can just take a saw and cut. The bamboo was intertwined. You had to chop it, you had to saw it, you had to get heavy equipment. And the first place to reach was mill quarters, and we were confronted by down power lines. We moved some of those, and then we reached Black River, and that is where we really saw the damage. The issue we faced was creating single lane for emergency services to get in.
Yes.
So our job is pretty much not really public. I mean, we were there trying to give the the nurses, the doctors, the JDF, working the JDF as well, they have done an amazing job, especially in Holland Bamboo, to create access. So the access you're getting now with people running through to Westmoreland and Sav and other places and Trelawney is the access that the JDF, the NWA, citizens, private contractors have created. And we've tried our very best. We're now at 95% access. But we still have a few maroon communities that have particular issues that are very difficult to solve.
Tell me about these communities.
So we have about 60, and let me bring it up. About 61 the last time I checked, communities that are hard to reach. And the reason why they're hard to reach is that, for example, if you look at places like in Trelawney, where the river, the Martha Bay River, has overflowed its banks, you can't really clear the road when it's inundated. Looking at places like New Market, where the groundwater has really come up, and there's a lot of flooding there. So those are some of the challenges that we face there. And I'm just trying to bring. And
while you're doing that, I got a call from a friend of mine who is literally in the heart of things in Santa Cruz, and she says there's a community, Abraham, that is still completely cut off. Do you know about this? Have you heard about this?
Well, there are several. If you go to St. Elizabeth, I'm looking at the list here for St. Elizabeth. Places like Vauxhall Newton, places like Pedro Cross, Kent, Hewsham, Quick Step, Mountainside Park, Bethlehem. But what I'll do is I'll save, you can ask the producers to send me that one. And I'll do research on it.
Because I've never heard of this community, but she was adamant. She is in the area. She's in burnt ground. And so she was telling me about the communities that was still having problems. You can actually get to these communities: Burnt Ground, Foster Park, Schofield Retrieve, Fagantown, Stanmore, Waterloo, and so on. But that she made it a point to say Abraham is completely cut off, and she was saying, I don't think any aid has reached to them, but she wasn't quite sure. So that's something that you probably
what I'll do is as you're speaking to me right now, I'm sending a message to my team for them to know. The challenge you're going to face, is that a lot of our people, because of the history, and the history of our society and how it evolved, they live in the hills, they don't live on the plains.
Yeah.
So the first priority was to create the main thoroughfare, which we call corridors. But for example, you have Ocherous to Montego Bay, which is a corridor, Montego Bay to South, which is a corridor, South to Black River, which is a corridor. But then as you have cleared the corridor, you now have to clear the arteries, which are like the small veins that feed the corridor. And the deeper you go into the arteries, the more difficult it becomes. And because the arteries are usually along hilly sides where sometimes you have to confront landslides that are 6 foot deep, tree trunks that are 8 feet wide, and those sort of things. And
so what happened with these communities, the ones that are like that? How do they get aid?
You just have to. They get aid. You get aid through either foot. Some of them you have to walk on foot to get them. Or the JDF has done dozens of flights into these communities to help them. I'll give you an example. Places like up in Newcastle, where the road doesn't exist anymore because it has all fallen into the gully. You have to walk on foot to some of the persons that are there. They're not technically maroon, but they're technically hard to reach because there are different categories of being marooned.
Yeah.
There's a total marooning, means that you're cut off, nobody can reach you. But then you have communities that are foot traffic only. You have communities that are small, motorbikes can reach there. But then you have communities which are totally maroon, where like in a community in St. James where an entire hillside came down and it's 6 feet of dirt that the backhoe has to be now pushing through. But then the other complicated issue is that you have to be very careful, like clearing hillsides, because with the rains and the saturation, you have instability. They have engineers that have to come in to look at the stability. Sometimes you have to wait until it dries out. But what we try to do is we try to get the JDF, the government tries to get the JDF and other, if the Chinook can reach there where the U.S. government has been kind enough to lend us a Chinook, to try to get food to every single person. Food, water, and shelter is our priority, and medicine to every single person. So there are going to be communities, and we are very happy. You can tell anybody can call and send a message if you hear of a community that is not being served, and we will do everything in our power to get to them.
Mm-hmm. What about the junction? What's the condition of the junction now?
The junction is clear. You can drive the junction. You can't drive the guards because there are some power lines in the guards. We've fixed the guard. The guard is ready to be open, but you can't drive it because there are power lines there, and there's no electricity, so the signaling at the bridge itself is not working. And you know our lovely Jamaican family, whenever the signaling is out, it causes problems and it's dangerous. So we are awaiting JPS to give us some electricity in the guards. So before we can open it, we really want to open the guards because it's a very important artery.
Yes, of course. We talk a lot about the road, but what other infrastructure damage are you seeing?
We've had significant destruction to our...
I lost you for a minute there. I lost you. Say that again. You've had significant damage too?
So there's a lot of our river training protection is gone. Meaning, so you have some rivers that you have to train them using Gabion baskets. A lot of those are gone, particularly in St. Thomas. A lot of our small culverts, you have a little ford in our culvert that the water runs through. That gone, particularly you have one big one in Montego River where the water just went over it and destroyed everything around it. You have a lot of landslides, and the landslide is not only landslides onto the road, it's landslide that takes away the road, and that is big in South Trelawny where I went recently, where within the space of 2 miles, they counted about 10 landslides that cut the road in half, right? You have had a lot of instability where the hillsides have become unstable, so it's very dangerous sometimes for residents to drive on them. And those are just some of the things. We have not lost any of our major bridges. We have had some damage to the protection to our bridges. For example, in Black River, the abutment to the bridge, which is that little concrete thing that you see at the foot of the bridge, that is a part of the protection of the bridge. It protects the foot of the bridge. But even though the bridge is drilled down like 60, 70 feet, they use the abutment to ensure that debris doesn't hit along the bridge. Right. Some of those are damaged, especially the one in Mayton. The bridge is fine. The bridge will survive. But
the thing about it, that there are so many of these bridges across Jamaica that one wonders, especially in St. Mary, going to my mother over in Hopewell, Marlborough, in St. Mary. Good morning to everybody in Marlborough. I am scared of Beaumont, and if you could send somebody to look at that, because so you have a
Beaumont bridge.
It's Beaumont, right? So we call it Beaumont in a set where we come from, but it's Beaumont, right? Beaumont, and it's a watershed area, but the bridge has been there from before time. But it's something that goes under the road, so you don't even know you don't even know what it is. It joins two rivers, or join the river coming from one end to the next one, and the road is getting narrower and narrower, and almost looking like it's going down into the river. And so this is why I'm very, very concerned about it. It's in Beaumont. I don't see anybody paying attention to that, and I know it's a small thing, in the bigger scheme of things. But since we're talking bridges, can you hold for me a minute? Development with responsibility for works is Robert Nestor Morgan. He's on the phone lines with me right now as we look at just the infrastructure across Jamaica, including, of course, the road networks, but obviously an issue with bridges. What are you seeing outside? Because we know the areas that are heavily hit, and we know how serious that is. You've gone through that. So in the areas that weren't so heavily hit, what are the major concerns? What major concerns are you seeing there now?
The major concern is usually flooding. So for example, Wikiwaki, which is on the coast in Bull Bay, whenever we have storm surges, the water flows into a pond, and then the level rises and it floods out the community. You have places like Cave Valley, which was underwater recently because the aquifers or the aquifers could not take any more water, could not take it at speed. You have like Aiden, which was under many feet of water. The challenge with these, they're not as rare as they used to be, these big rain events, is that there are people who from time to time decide to live in floodplains or live on gully banks, right? So, for example, the Sandy Gully, a lot of people live on the Sandy Gully bank. We have a plan to repair it, but people have, over the last several decades, I mean, the last major hurricane we had was the Hurricane Gilbert, which was 30 years ago. Most people would not remember the destruction of a Hurricane Gilbert, so a lot of people have become comfortable, and people liking content build these massive houses in the floodplain. But it is a floodplain. It may not flood for 50 years, but it will flood again. So those are some of the challenges that we have where people decide to live in places that are dangerous. People also in the places like Chilani, where the soil type is very different. There's not a lot of rooting to hold the soil together, and that's why we have the beautiful yam and the beautiful Irish potato from there because of the soil type. But that soil type is also not good for building on hillsides. But a lot of people in South Chilani build on the hillside. What has happened to us is that with this hurricane, a lot of those houses are now in the ravine or in the gully.
Oh, goodness.
Or they are now compromised and are dangerous to live. So a big conversation we have to have is where do we live? And we know why we live where we live because of slavery and where the black people are allowed to move to. But I think as our society becomes more modern and we develop a greater understanding, the government and citizens have to now start to think about where we live and how we live and how we build. We're going to have to build for resilience. The bridge that we built in Troy was able to withstand the hurricane because within its design we said, what category hurricane can this bridge accommodate? And we said, let us go 4 to 5 because we want these infrastructure to last for 100 years, 200 years. But that's not something that we had to do in the past because Jamaica has never really gotten a category 5 hurricane. But we're seeing more and more of these events coming.
And then a lot of the bridges we have across Jamaica too, I mean, they've been there from Wapikil, Philomena. And
hundreds of years.
Yeah, they've withstood, many storms. So another thing is how we, ensure that the upkeep, because sometimes the neglect is terrible. So that's
true.
Something to look at also. You know.
I would be the first to admit that.
This is what's a bill? This is a high cost situation, isn't it?
What's the bill?
Yeah. How much money this
cost? Listen, I saw the preliminary figure last week, and it is tens of billions of dollars. I'm going to allow the Prime Minister to make that announcement because that money is bigger than me. But I will say to you, you just have to look around you. Black River is gone. Santa Cruz is damaged significantly. Catherine Hall damaged significantly. Most of the roads in Westmoreland are washed out. Hanover, significant damage. St. James, significant damage to our road network, our culverts and so on. It is tens of billions of dollars. And that is just for road infrastructure alone and bridges and gullies. We have a lot of retaining walls that have disappeared. So you're going to have to, for example, in my constituency in Pennant, we have a retaining wall that holds up the road that connects southern Clarendon to northern Clarendon. That is gone. That is going to be at least $100 to $200 million. So the point I'm making here is that when the Prime Minister speaks next week again and he announces the figure, a lot of people are going to be shocked. Remember, we said preliminary we're looking at $1 trillion to $2 trillion. It is the most devastating disaster that has ever reached Jamaica. I think it is on the scale of Port Royal. Because half of the country is currently still pretty much without electricity.
It is devastating. And this is the thing. We are at pains. We who are going through it, and even those of us on this side of the world, this side of Jamaica, still, I think maybe are not able to grasp what's happening in the West. But we are at pains to tell others that, listen, this was a devastating event. We haven't even begun to clock how much this is going to cost if you just take one little area, like which part me come from and my mother come from. And I can tell you something. By the way, as my son, my mother, so I'm getting a text from the area, right, where somebody said, I must spell it to you because you don't know where I'm talking. It is Beaumont, Beaumont, right? But we call it Beaumont. And it is in Hopewell, St. Mary. And there's also a fording that's a fording we call it, that before you get, from you leave Highgate going to Richmond and you turn on the right to go down that road, you're supposed to be looking at every single bridge. And we have about 4 or 5 before you get to where my mother live. And some of them in the water, they're about to tumble down. This is the thing. I'm really, really scared of what's happening in that little area. And since I have you on the phone. And then, since I have you on the phone, there's another thing I'm going to ask you to do for me. I hope you're able to do this. So here we are in Western St. Mary, right? And Northwestern St. Mary, not politically, but geographically. We're talking from, you cross the White River Bridge, Couples Susie, all the way back to, Ian Fleming Airport. That entire corridor is being neglected. And I do not know why, because the damage is serious. The Rio Nuevo flows under the Rio Nuevo Bridge, goes through the Rio Nuevo village, and empties out into the sea. The bridge that takes you to the sea and takes you through Rio Nuevo village, that is, you have to send somebody urgently. This is just the point I'm making, to look at that. Then I'm not quite sure about the bridge itself, which is part of the main road that takes you from Otrias to St. Mary. Yeah. So that bridge, there were so many massive trees that fell down on that bridge that it needs some kind of attention to ensure that it is okay. Okay. So I'm asking you. Also, could you please do this for me while you're on the line? Which is to say, so this part of St. Mary has been left out of the mortgage moratorium and all of the other stuff that have been announced. But this is the area where the hurricane exited Jamaica, where people have lost their roofs, where people are totally flooded out. Granted, we still can't cross the Rio Nuevo Bridge. But we need all the moratorium that's out there, and we need as much attention as everybody else. And I know you're in the meeting. That's why I'm saying it to you, Mr. Robert Nestor Morgan. And I know you're making a note of it also while you're on the line.
And I might know everything that you're saying.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. All right, so let's quickly get back to the... So what do you now say to those people who are waiting for whether it is the landslide to clear or for the road to be repaired so you can have connectivity again between communities?
Well, I mean, we're at 95% of our communities now have access. We still have a little ways to go with the ones that are most difficult. But we are not stopping. Every day we're out there with our teams, trudging along until every single community has full access. Mm-hmm. We're coming out of the emergency phase and now we're entering into the recovery phase. I mean, we've already started the recovery phase, because if you would drive to Westmoreland now, you'll have a 2-lane road, which is in pretty good condition. We have cleared the debris off the road. Mm-hmm. We're now clearing all the debris out of the Black River town, and as we go on, we're going to start a massive cleanup campaign. I think it's going to be led by the National Solid Waste Management Authority. Mm-hmm. Just take away the debris, because we don't want to create an environment for vermin and vectors. Mm-hmm. The next phase is doing our detailed, quick assessment to see what we need to reconstitute immediately. Is there a community that needs a fording that needs to be built urgently? Mm-hmm. Is there a bridge that needs to be reinforced? Is there a culvert that needs to be fixed quickly so that we don't have flooding? Is there a road that is washed out that we have to do quick work to fix, to put asphalt on, or to fill it with sand and roll it so that people can have reasonable access? Mm-hmm. In order for the country to get some sort of normalcy, for people to start working again and people to start going out of their business, mm-hmm. transportation is one of the main parts of that recovery, along with electricity, along with shelter, along with food. So we take that role very seriously, yes. And we are now already in the field with our engineers, making a list of all the things that we need to fix quickly. Yeah. So there's going to be a short-term, a medium-term, and a long-term plan. The long-term has to deal with resilience building. Mm-hmm. Anything that any massive infrastructure development we're going to do, we have to do mm-hmm. resilience. There's a medium-term where There's some retaining walls that is going to take a couple of weeks to design or a couple of months to design properly. Yes. Like the one we had in Gardentown. I don't remember that one that took a while to deal with because it was such a massive infrastructure. But then there's a short term where we have to create better access, whether if it's a road that's washed out, whether if it's a simple fording that you can spend a couple $1 million and build back. So our plan is we are at work every day. We know that the country is depending on us to create the avenues and the byways so that people can safely go about the business. I mean, I'll give you an example. So we cleared the single lane to Savannah and Lamar. And when we were clearing the single lane, we had very little traffic. So the single lane was able to manage because it was mostly emergency vehicles and so on. Within a day after clearing single lane, the traffic tripled because by now people got wind of what the devastation that happened in Westmoreland and Hanover and St. Elizabeth and their family members. Because everybody in Jamaica has family everywhere.
Yes, I saw that.
The traffic tripled. We started having 3-hour traffic jams.
Yes,
so we decided, no, this single lane thing is not going to work. So within a day, we were able to create 2 lanes. So by 3 to 4 days after the hurricane, we now had 2 lanes. But we still, you see, I think it's a good thing because the outpouring of support from Jamaicans. And let's take government out of it for a minute. The work that has been done by the entertainment community, regular, ordinary Jamaicans. Like there was traffic in Kingston. Was it day before yesterday? Kingston was gridlocked. Not because there was anything special happening in Kingston, but a lot of people were driving around getting supplies. You go to the supermarket, the chicken gone, the cream crackers gone, the tin food short. Because people were, and all of those people are now going into the space. So we have to make sure that we maintain the roads, giving people access so that they can help their friends and family in the West. And that's what we're going to be doing over the next couple of months.
And you've been doing a great job. You've been doing a great job. Hold on, I have a final question. But if I don't take this question, you are going to cost me. So hold on. I mean, this you are going to cost me.
Sure.
All right. So we have some questions coming in, and one that comes, we have it coming a few times. So let me just ask you, and it has to do. Let me see. There's people asking about the tourism season. So hang on. Right. Will you be ready for the tourism season in terms of the opening of the road? I'm more concerned about we the people, but this tourism question is coming in a lot.
So the corridor, the tourism corridor, primarily stretches from Hanover to pretty much St. Mary. We have done a lot of work on that corridor. You can drive it. I mean, there's still some minor issues like hanging light poles that are leaned over. And I know that the JCS is working to put electricity from St. Mary all the way to Hanover. Montego Bay doesn't really have any electricity right now. Cannot bring tourists into the tourism capital without electricity. But the primary objective for us is, yes, we love the tourists. We need the foreign exchange. But we have to, we maintain these corridors and we build these corridors for the people. So my primary objective is not, they are thinking about the tourism industry because it is necessary and it is what is funding all of this in some cases. But I have to think about the people first. So we're doing it for the people. And a side effect of that is that persons can now come and visit. The Duns River Falls, which is one of the main attractions, is being repaired now. A lot of damage to the facility, to the waterfall. And I know that the UDC is doing a lot of remedial work. Some of the hotels like Bahia Principe and some others had sustained damage. I know that they're doing work on that. Mr. Bartley can update on that. But we'll be ready for December 15th, I believe. We have approximately about over a month to get our act together. But people will see the signs long before when the electricity starts coming back to most places. But our roads are ready.
Okay. Thank you so much, Minister Robert Nestor Morgan, Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Infrastructure Development with responsibility for works. And once again, commendation, because really, I am happy with the way the ministry has approached clearing the roads and connecting communities. I have benefited from that greatly across Jamaica.
Thank you very much.
Great
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.
And take care. I'll extend your congratulations to the team. Thank you.
Okay, give thanks.
All right.
Areas in these communities that are reeling from Hurricane Melissa, they're areas in these parishes, communities in these parishes that are also devastated. There's also a bigger issue that is mushrooming into something nuclear, which is people's access to funding, people's access to money, and money that themselves work and put in the bank. And so we appeal to the banks across Jamaica. You cannot just shut down and disappear and leave the ATMs empty. The extent to which this is a problem is beyond comprehension. People are going to the bank from 4:30 to be first and second in the line. And then all 12 o'clock, them don't get through yet. This is not an exaggeration. This is a personal experience. My husband was one of them. And you can't use credit cards. They're not taking them. The places are locked down. There's no electricity. There's no electricity. There is no water. And I know, when I said it earlier, I said it with every single part of my being, which was to say that we feel guilt talking about these issues because we know that there is a greater issue in the West and the South and some southern parishes. And so we foreground those. But at the same time, there's a different kind of mental health crisis that is about to explode and implode in these areas because people are now at their wits' end. You can imagine your home, you have no network coverage because Digicel and Flow down in a lot of these areas, gradually coming back, but nothing to write home about. So you can't call your mother, you can't call your father, you don't know what is happening with your people. You have no electricity, you have no water, you have to run up and look water for bed. And this is why I commend the Ministry of Works, because I know, for example, even that road that leads to my mother house in deep, deep rural St. Mary, that we were able to go there just a day and a half after the hurricane. And we saw what the situation was and still is. But the work that was done to clear a path through the junction from Kingston, just across Jamaica, my friend told me, you can come to Sav, you can come because if you drive, you just drive there. When we talked to Dayton Campbell last week, he said, yes, there's a route to Westmoreland. This is a route. The road is cleared all the way. You can, this is a kind of, response we want to see from every single ministry. This kind of efficiency. This is the kind of response. And in the meantime, look out for your neighbors. People are still homeless. I hear of an elderly lady in one of the parishes whose roof is gone. A returning resident who's refusing to budge because she says, I can't leave here. I don't know where to go. And the community people taking care of her, and now I think they're getting a tarpaulin. But look out for your neighbors. Help your neighbors. This is a time that we need to do this more than ever. I'm trying to get to Chief Richard Curry. I'm trying to get to Mayor Gager. Mayor Gager, we're not getting you on the phone. Colin Gager of Falmouth. Also, but we heard about Falmouth, so that's fine. And then I'm trying to get Chief Richard Curry up in Accompong. I hear the situation there is also grave. I'm going to go to talk to Professor Harcourt Fuller, who can give me some information about what's happening in the Rio Grande Valley. Right? This is a fluid, ongoing situation where people are reaching high levels of depression, high levels of anxiety, high levels of mental health problem because things are piling on. And I want to make an appeal again to the Prime Minister to say, look in the orange area on the map, because you have the very red area and that you declare a disaster, and that is good. And then look in the orange area, especially those areas in the parishes where the hurricane exited Jamaica. The people are not tan good there. And so we have been left out of the conversation. We have been left out of the conversation. Right? And our situation is dire. Tarpaulins, solar lanterns, batteries or solar radio, personal hygiene products, blankets and toiletries, and drop them here at IRA FM at Coconut Grove, right here in St. Anne, or 1B Courtney Walsh Drive in Kingston. We will personally deliver these items to the communities most affected by the hurricane. Small acts, big impact, make Jamaica IRA still. Brilliant job she's producing even while we are remote. Vivian, thank you so much in producing this program this morning. To my in-studio producer, my daughter is back with me, Nia Munifor Teshi. Thank you so much. The team in the studio, to Shanice, who is doubling up as an in-studio producer and a telephone operator and a receptionist this morning. So really, really hard-working team. Vivian Stewart leading that team. Nia Munifa Teshi, Shanice, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Great work, especially at a time when the connectivity is so poor and it is so much pressure getting to our guests. And so many of our guests can only stay for so long and no much longer. But I think that we really got what we needed to, and we still have more to go. Just to say quickly, I want to make a shout out to Bobby Montague. Bobby, my classmate, my schoolmate. Bobby, Member of Parliament for that area that includes Three Hills and Charlestown and Renew and Huddersfield and Stewartstown and Ian Fleming Airport, and I think it goes up to Boscobel, right, or Cabeza, and then all the way back up to Carrinall and through them area. I think. Bobby, you're gonna have to have a conversation with the Prime Minister and the team about this area of St. Mary, right? And to ensure that the area, we're talking about that area from your cross, Pompano. As a matter of fact, from across the White River Bridge, because you saw what happened in the area of Couple Sans Souci, from across the White River Bridge, and you're talking St. Mary now, you're entering St. Mary, all the way to Orocabessa, and then, there's somehow, I don't see much damage in the Galena, Port Murray area, correct me if I'm wrong, but then from your leave there, not necessarily Highgate, but you start going now to the other side, which would include Richmond, Zion Hill, coming back to Hopewell, Marlborough. What's the situation in Rock Spring? Can somebody tell me Woodside? Those areas. So, Bobby, you're gonna have to have a conversation. You cannot neglect to have this conversation that whatever contingencies are being put in place for the other areas, these areas of St. Mary must be included. And I don't know about the other areas in the orange area, because if you look at the map, this is how they've done it. The red areas are the really bad areas, and they're definitely in the contingency plans. And then for the orange area, they somehow have left it out. But this is a problem. And that would also determine how you deal with the back to school situation. There is a disconnect that I myself cannot put my finger on. I do not understand where it is coming from or why it is the way it is, but there is a disconnect. I have our brother, Professor Harcourt Fuller on the line. Prof, is that you?
Yes, this is me.
Okay.
Empress Kabu.
All right, brilliant. We're just here, just taking stock and reaching out across the waters and reaching out across the land, just to our brothers and sisters who are this morning, some of us are just waking up to what has really happened because it is so traumatic, and some don't wake up yet to what has really happened. I know the Rio Grande Valley, also was impacted. We don't talk a lot about that, but tell us about what's happening in the Rio Grande Valley.
Well, first of all, greetings to my beloved Jamaica. The diaspora stands with you. We're here for you. You're not in this alone. Yes, in the Rio Grande Valley, they suffered a lot of damages, roofs blown off, even some houses leveled, lots of trees down. The roads were impossible, but the community members came together and cleared that. So now you can drive from Port Antonio all the way up to the valley. Mm-hmm. And no one has electricity or Wi-Fi cell phone access, with the exception of a few people that have their personal generators.
Mm-hmm. So the in terms of the destruction itself, the homes lost. What do you know of that?
Yes, and I should mention farms because I'm in touch with farmers, several farmers, several of them young farmers, and they've told me that their crops have been destroyed and things of that nature. And I'm sure we'll talk about the initiative, the farming initiative. Where
well, go right ahead. Let's go to that. What are the initiatives? Because I know I just want to. I'm not even quite sure who can hear me in terms of these areas because people are without electricity and lots of batteries and solar power in some areas and so on. But we're talking on behalf of the people who are not even able to listen to us this morning. You are talking to me from Atlanta. You are from the Rio Grande Valley yourself. So tell us about the work that is being done inside of the diaspora, outside of the diaspora, for the Rio Grande Valley.
Well, we were able to get in touch and had conversations with Colonel Wallace Sterling and put forth some proposals to him, which he accepted. One of which is the formation of the Moortown Maroon Diaspora Ambassador Group. So we are people of Moortown Maroon or Rio Grande Valley Maroon descent living in various parts of the world. Very quick shout out to Dr. Melissa Buckley, Dr. Brittany Osborne, Dr. Sharon Cronin, and others. We're working with Y-Coil. We're working with other people on the ground. And what we have done is we have shipped a Starlink and a solar generator to Catterwood Village. And we are we launched this website, which is moortownmaroons.org, moortownmaroons.org, and all the associated social media. And we are doing a fundraising drive on that website. People can go to moortownmaroons.org and click on donate. And whatever funds, I'm using my nonprofit in Atlanta to collect those funds. And we are going to purchase additional items such as solar panels to charge phones, etc., purchasing tarps and food supplies and all of the other necessary things people need within the community. And we're going to, of course, provide all of those items for people to be able to charge their phones and get internet access. Because in addition to the roof damages, the housing damages, in addition to the damages to farms and the need for food, the communication is a big issue because people are not able to get to their family members. And family members in the diaspora are not always able to get to people. Folks sometimes have to travel 45 minutes or so, 35 to 45 minutes to Port Antonio to get a signal, or sporadically they might be able to go to someone that has a generator who can give them some access. So we are working expeditiously to address those issues. Mm-hmm. And we very quickly we think we have a solution, which I know a lot of people are talking about, for the farming issue.
Yes.
While many farms have been destroyed in the Rio Grande Valley, we are encouraging farmers to plant short-term crops, callaloo, cabbage, certain things that they're going to take only a few months, to come on board. Mm-hmm. And we believe that if farms across Jamaica that may not have been as adversely affected as the farms out west, if they can come online with short-term crops, then they can help with the recovery effort in the hardest hit areas in Western Jamaica. Yes. So we're coming up with ideas and liaising with people to see how can we help the hardest hit parts of Jamaica, Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, St. James, etc., Clarendon, while at the same time contributing to the recovery effort in other parts of the island.
And that is critical. It's a kind of oversight and bird's eye view that we need. It is multifaceted and it really needs that whole pulling together. This is why I talk about triaging, because we just feel as if some of us are being left out of the conversation, even though we understand and we feel a sense of guilt about it too, even bringing it to the fore. But the important reason for bringing these things to the fore is that there's in addition to dehydration, hunger, lack of communication, lack of proper housing, because so many roofs, if they are gone completely, they are damaged, and so people are in critical situations. That there is there's a greater mental health crisis that is developing, that is frightening to me. So I'm very happy that the diaspora and especially the diaspora for the Rio Grande Valley is doing this for that massive area. Can you tell us about any other area? We've been trying to get Chief Curry all morning. I know that there's a situation there. Connectivity is poor also. So I'm not quite sure what's happening there. Have you managed to reach out and hear from anyone?
If I may, I've been seeing on Instagram and online what other communities have been doing. Please allow me to also mention YCOIL, which is the Yamaye Council of Indigenous and Maroon Organizations, and other people, Tisheka Sterling. There are so many people on the ground that are doing so much. There is a form, for example, just quickly back to the Rio Grande Valley, that's going around where people we're trying to get people to fill those forms out with their information, the level of their damages and needs. And I think those forms will get to the various ministries.
Yes.
And we actually have, we have people coming to Jamaica right now, today as we speak. We have members from our group flying to Jamaica with supplies. Mm-hmm. And also they have printed out those forms because, of course, people don't have electricity and they cannot access these intake forms online. So we've printed out dozens of these forms to take to people in the Rio Grande Valley and other areas. Of course, we are collaborating with the other Maroon communities as far as we can get access to them, but Charlestown and other places. Mm-hmm. But again, I want to stress.
I heard that we got Chief Richard Curry. So if he's on the line, I'll take him in half a minute. So just to hear directly. But you've really helped us to understand what's happening, because we're a radio station. We people have gone out. A lot of our staff members have individually gone out to see what's happening in the communities. DJ Sunshine and others are leading a brilliant effort here at IRFM with IRFM's Hurricane Melissa Relief Drive 11 Coco. And so that we have our eyes and ears in places, but once we leave the building and go to our homes, we lose connectivity. We have no connectivity. So that's a problem that we're having. So you in the diaspora sometime know more about what all of us are going through than
and that's true. Sometimes I will get a call first before in the community. But we're one people. I'm so happy the world is rallying. If you look at what's happening, Jamaica has contributed so much to the world culture, so much. And I'm happy that we're getting the assistance and the attention. But we will get through this. This too shall pass. We will get through this, Jamaica.
Thank you so much to me on the phone. But here you are on the line. Morning, my brother. How you doing?
Morning.
Let me just tell you that you're live on air. Sorry, you're live on air, right?
I understand. Okay. I want to just to give you a brief before you came on here, but since you're here, because what I wanted was to speak to you about is very important.
Yes.
Where do I start? Eastern Westmoreland. There's a humanitarian crisis down there.
Wow. Which area are we looking at?
We're talking about Eastern Westmoreland. You're coming up through Newmarket and going to Darlington and those places, Bethel Town.
Wow.
Well, there are glimpses of a crisis on your way along the coast, coming through Magati. There are a lot of people out there. Anything you can give through your car window, they will accept. Anything at all. Water, flour, rice, mackerel, stuff like that. Now, on your way up, coming through middle quarters, coming along. Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of persons out on the road, anything you can pass, people accept it. And these people are people that are full of pride.
Mm-hmm.
So you're giving them things, and you can't just see the pride in these people. They actually just feel a way.
Yes.
But
the need is so great.
But the need is so great. No, in Bethel Town proper.
Mm-hmm.
I yesterday, trust me, it's a long time. I never go up on certain things, but I had to.
Yes.
Because it was overwhelming. There are a lot of households
flat on the ground. 12 days after the storm, a lot of people out there, the sky is their roofs.
Oh.
A lot of people, whosoever are fortunate to have concrete, a lot of people are helping some places. So, just to catch with them for the time being. The greatest need for Eastern Westmoreland, Betheltown, Dalton, these places, they want wood, they want zinc, they just want to get up back.
They want just shelter. Shelter is a great need.
Right. So, and a lot of persons are coming down this side, coming down here just to see what is happening. Don't do it. If you're coming, come with something.
Yes.
Please. Last night, it took me 5 hours between middle quarters to reach Santa Cruz. And a lot of these people just coming
You reached Santa Cruz last night?
I say. Wow. I left, when I reached middle quarters, on my way back.
Yes.
It took me 5 hours to reach from middle quarters to Santa Cruz.
Oh. And there's another thing happening with that too, I understand, that people who are coming in a lot with stuff, those who are carrying stuff, they're going into the town squares. They're going to the crossroads. And so people are collecting over and over and over and over again in terms of the crossroads.
So even yesterday I spoke with a person because the helicopter that came into the community center there and delivered relief supplies. And a lady come and she said she has been coming here and not one day she has gotten anything. Every day she comes, she can't get nothing. Because of the same thing, there are complaints that you need ID to collect whatever there. A lot of people don't have ID. Just to collect some basic stuff, they have to have ID. It is total.
I think
it is a serious crisis down there.
And this is why I talk about triaging. I hear you, Roger, and I know when you call me to say there's a humanitarian crisis brewing, about to explode in Eastern Westmoreland, that you're not joking.
I'm not joking. I'm dead serious. I'm sorry to say this. I had to light up a spliff yesterday. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jamaica, if that come across in any way.
No, come across no way. No, not offensive. No offense at all.
My mind. I had to, and I years me not do this. Years I don't do it. It is serious. And these people have pride. These people have pride. As the last lady I spoke with yesterday, the lady's intelligence can't done. And the lady, she don't have nothing. We want people to come on there and adopt a family. It's now a joke. If rich people listening right now, please go down to Eastern Westmoreland and adopt a family. And help them rebuild. Just adopt, if you can't feed everybody, you can't, just adopt a family. To help them get some board and nail and zinc, window, build up a little box. I'm talking about dozens of people. Last night was the sky for them roof. Because there in that section of the island, they got it flush. And every tree, there are no tree with leaves for dozens and dozens of miles in Eastern Westmoreland and St. Elizabeth.
Look like fire pass through, a debark.
It's like a Hiroshima bomb.
Yes. Like that.
No leaves on trees. So, so I'm not joking.
I know you're not joking, Roger, and I'm very, very, very thankful that you called in this morning to draw attention to that. Last week, Dayton was on talking about similar areas, and he cried literally and I heard the very same passion coming from you right now. So even though somewhat in Westmoreland we have aid reaching certain areas, that there Darliston, and we know Darliston very well. Betheltown. Where else we looking at?
Castles Mount, all around the top. Every community around us are impacted in a serious way.
Urgent.
So when I hear Mr. Betheltown or Darliston, I'm just talking about the general Eastern Westmoreland.
Yes, we hear you.
I have a colleague And they told him don't come. If him a care something, make them come meet him party because him don't have no heart to stomach where him would have sit. Them tell him to just meet them partway with the stuff where him a care come and turn back and go.
This is Jamaica. This is Jamaica.
And this is also to our engineers at IRFM. Everybody, so them not hearing Irish, and everybody. The vehicle, luckily, I drove the mark vehicle. Everybody, everybody love it. Everybody want to hear Irish.
Even this morning in places in Kingston, people are saying they're not hearing IRFM. In Portland, people are saying they're not hearing Irish. So, our engineers, I know are on it. But make we get make we fix it fast. Roger, I really appreciate this call that you're calling this morning. And, thank you for doing the work that you're doing out there. I'm gonna get on it again too, to kind of see how we can push certain buttons to get people to go there. Wow, this is crazy.
Just walk, don't come down there. If you're coming down there, people, don't go with your tool and camera and phone for like.
And I hear you saying the main, alright, so food, shelter and clothing, of course, but shelter is critical right now because people are...
Critical. Yesterday I saw a family came down and they adopted a family and they're gonna help them rebuild. We need more of those people.
All right, brilliant. How you adopt a family?
Maybe you just go into the community and see what we see for some people with them rubble.
And you don't have to take the family home with you, but you can help them to rebuild.
Go down there, care stuff, and then help them in terms of and ask them what they need, and then the basic needs.
Yes.
And then help them rebuild.
All right, Raj.
Just go. You right now, if you go down there, you have the people at them rubble.
Yes. Oh goodness, which were these rubbles that used to be them houses?
Yes. I put some pictures in the social media group. IRFM social media group yesterday.
Yes.
You can see.
I will see. Raj, thank you so much, my brother. Thank you so much for the work you're doing, for being on the ground, and for bringing it back to us.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Greetings, beloved. How you do?
Oh, yeah, giving thanks. We're all giving thanks for life. Giving thanks for another day and the light, the opportunity to shine again,
Yes.
Yes, it's been very tough here.
I'm hearing, and thanks to ISIS for pointing it out because I didn't even realize we don't have connectivity, we don't know where we're going. But you, a compound is devastated, I understand. Talk to me about it.
Alright, so a compound had a direct hit. So what's happened here, approximately 80% of the homes have been destroyed or rendered uninhabitable. So we've had to do makeshift shelters and neighbors have had to take in neighbors, and for the most part it's just been very uncomfortable for persons trying to get back to normalcy because the roofs are missing and some of the homes are totally destroyed. So the challenge of moving around, getting relief supplies, some of that has been eased, but the deeper part of it is the heavy rains that come to add insult to injury after the storm. It's the continuous dampening of the spirit. So for the most part, we've been working assiduously in trying to gather up supplies and support to start the repair process and provide some amount of comfort in this tough time.
This is 80% of houses damaged. That is serious, Chief Curry.
A compound is Black River without the water. That's how much I would put it, right? And it's not only a compound. Similar to what the gentleman was just now saying, the entire surrounding, right? The adjoining communities, Whitehall, Betsy, Garlands, Elderslie, Windsor, Thornton, Silo, Aberdeen, Bagdale Mountain, name it. They're all devastated, right? And I think what's happening on this side is that there have been many blockages on certain main thoroughfares, and has limited the number of units and the size of units that could come through. So the relief has been coming through. And for us on top of the hill here, we've mostly been seeing a few of the NGOs who have been circling the cockpit country, from what I understand, and gathering. And a lot of the aid that has been able to get to them so far has come through some of those channels, as well as what we've been able to do to our adjoining communities.
What's the most urgent need now for the area? Because it's not just a Kampong. I hear you talk about all these other adjoining communities.
Housing, water, and food. That would be the order. Housing, water, and food. On top of that, Kabu, to begin the rebuilding, of course, you have to remove what's damaged and what's not useful anymore. There's a lot of debris everywhere, and that in itself is a whole entire project on its own. So for us here, we'll be launching the cleaning up this coming week, and we'll be seeking the assistance of volunteers who I know a lot of people out there want to help. Inviting them up. We're going to be sending the bus down to different stations to pick up volunteers who want to come in and provide assistance. We need heavy equipment. We need carpenters. We need masons. Even just strength, bare hands. Packing things together. January 6th celebration, that is a must. So that is also in the background of what we would like to ensure that we deliver. And I think this year is special considering what we've gone through in the last couple and the year.
Yeah, I know that so the connection is poor, but we are hearing you, so we're going to hang on for a little while longer. And to say, all right, so all right, thanks. I hang it for me. And to say that, what are you seeing so far in terms, you mentioned the NGOs, but what kind of national aid have you seen coming in, and what is it like?
Okay, so as far as the state government is considered, I cannot validate the extent at which they have provided relief to the area. I do know that the JDF had made a drop in a compound about 3 days ago. And just yesterday, the Minister Daryl Vaz made a stop in a compound on his way through the area to gather some information and assessments on the damage and the extent of damage. So I do believe there may be some assistance that would be coming. So I will hold for that, and at the same time give the knowledge that I have that there are a lot of people out there who have not been reached or have not seen or received any form of assistance.
What's a direct route to you now in terms of the roads that are cleared that can get us straight to a compound?
Okay, so if you exit the highway in Williamsfield and you proceed to Mile Gully, Balaclava, Thornton, Bethsalem to a compound, that route is clear. If you're coming down Spur Tree, if you take Braes River to Bogue, to Union, Thornton, Bethsalem, a compound, that's also cleared. But I must say limited in terms of the capacity, the size vehicle that can come through these areas. A box truck can come through, but a big truck at the moment still is impossible.
Yes, and we did hear that from the JPS and also from Robert Mr. Morgan earlier.
Right. And the Magati route is also clear, but again limited to the type of unit that can come through. So the roads to a compound are clear, but they're limited in terms of the size unit that's it.
So at the end of the day, in terms of building materials, like people who are coming in to help to rebuild, how would you get those in?
So you'd have to see how best you can fit that on a box truck or a panel van. And I think they're working each day to try and provide some additional, easement on the road so these units can come through. So I do estimate that within the next few days we should have that sorted out. But to be honest, a compound, as I say, is doing everything that it can to get to the other districts that are still isolated and in some areas cut off. Cut off, right? So like the Mulgrave, and even over in Garlands, there's several areas of the Garlands Road that are very challenging at the moment and very dangerous. Also, going back to Ben Lomond's Pullet Hall in those areas, a lot of landslides and fallen trees that are creating challenges for persons in those communities.
Wow. I'm very happy that we got you because, just to know what's happening in that area and to get people to pay attention. The rebuilding is important. The shelter, I hear you, is critical. That's number one on the list. And also, how are you doing with, drinking water and non-perishable food and so on?
All right. So all the were devastated, Kabu. Every single one. All the fruit trees, and mother trees we came here and saw are no longer there, right? So we do foresee a significant challenge in food security, not for a compound, but the entire parish, and by extension, right? St. Elizabeth is a breadbasket, so there will be a significant challenge as it relates to your tabletop produce and your farm for the next months. I would estimate a minimum. Right.
Take a minute to speak to Jamaica and the world that's listening about how they can assist not just a compound but the surrounding communities, and give us the names of the communities again.
Okay, so Windsor, Thornton, Backdale Mountain, Aberdeen, Beth Salem, Whitehall, Paisley, Retirement, Cedar Spring, Jointwood, Eldersley, Niagara, Moko, Garlands, Brooks Bottom, and Trinell are the main districts that have been heavily impacted in these areas. Mulgrave as well, and as I mentioned earlier, the major challenge in this area, sister, and Jamaica and the world listening, is housing. Majority of homes have been destroyed, and adding insult to injury is the inability to acquire the repair materials and the additional rainfall, dampening of spirits. So tarpaulins are what we've been using to create the bridge until we get the additional roofing supplies. We are getting containers in, but there's a lead time on that, and no one can wait, really. It's been very, very challenging. Food supplies and water. A compound, we just managed to flip our containers with the atmospheric water generator. That unit has the ability to provide up to 350 gallons of water per day. We had it looked at yesterday by some technicians who restored power and functioning. Well, not power was already restored, but functioning of the unit. So we do intend to get going with that to ease the stress on the demand for water. So those are the key areas.
Yes, we hear you loud and clear, and I know the world just heard you. We're going to get through this, and I hear also the spirit of resilience. So, Chief Curry, thank you for the work you're doing. We'll keep in touch. And once again, just to say to the world and to Jamaica, here is an area that is in great need right now. Shelter is the number one need. Thank you so much, Chief Richard Curry. That yes, we see the press conferences and we see the walkabouts, but you cannot manage crisis by press conference. As a matter of fact, one of the worst things you can do is keep calling press conferences in crisis. Make the journalists them travel with UNO and record on the way, and leave the press conferences them alone. And secondly, the politicians have to step aside and give the technical people a chance to run them business, because they know how to do it. And so when the Prime Minister says that we do not have the capacity or the capability or the intelligence or the brain on the island to manage this disaster, that is a slap in the face to Nofaway. Nofaway Bigay. Nofaway, who study crisis management and run crisis management in massive places. Nofaway. You didn't even ask. If the Prime Minister, they throw out something and say, all who know anything about crisis management, gather your so. You don't think much of we did there. You to begin, no? How that did there? So, and you triage we too. And I'm thinking that, the medical community, you see, the medical community, Jamaica health community, not just government, but private health community, they know how to triage. This is what them cut them eye teeth on. So you call them and in your spaces. This is them you need to have the conferences with. Right? And there are other people with them big MBA and them DBA who can't write it on the paper and the medical community and can have a what is happening is ridiculous. I know people are afraid to talk about it, but we must not be afraid to talk about it because people are dying. We cannot be afraid to talk about it because people are still without shelter. We cannot be afraid to talk about it because people still without food and water. Just talked to my friend the other day and she said all she wants is some water. All she wants is some water. People are dehydrated. Biggie, yesterday I was driving up and down. I know you have water, right? No. You don't know water. Yesterday I drive up and down, look water just a bit. And I'm not afraid to say that. I'm not going to be embarrassed about nothing else, because we didn't cause this on ourselves. This is a hurricane, and we are all on the backside of it. And for the first time, yesterday was the first time that I began to feel the frustration. It was all good. No light, no water, no network, no connection. Can't hardly reach my mother. But yesterday was the first time that I felt a sense of something. And thank God for my sister Amina. Amina, thank you for the message you sent, Amina Blackwood Meeks, because it kind of pulled me out of that space that I was, a lot of us feel like we're in a sunken place. It's a nightmare. So we can't joke about how we manage this. This is no time to joke about how we manage it. We manage it. But I would say the politicians should get out of the way. This is what I'm saying. The politicians should get out of the way and let the technical staff who know how to do this, who study how to do this, who have been doing this across the Caribbean for years and many moons, do it. Because they know how to do it. You call any doctor who has ever worked in the Kingston Public Hospital, and they'll immediately look at the scene and say, okay, you need to move this person to there and that person to here and that person to here, and then you need to do it. They know how to triage. What we're doing is foolishness. Anyway, so to my fellow Jamaicans, take heart. Take one day at a time. We can get through this. We will get through this, and we'll get through this together. I say to the people in Kingston and St. Andrew, Kingston is not Jamaica. And there are many who are reaching out. St. Andrew is not Jamaica. Remember that the rest of Jamaica is dealing with the worst disaster in contemporary times. No cold decisions from the seat of government for the rest of us who can't even get to the ATM.
Mm-hmm. And I don't want to begin to manage or to imagine what happens on the interior, where the infrastructure is a lot less sturdy than what happens on the coast. The pictures that I see of what happened in Palestine and in Gaza is nothing less than what I have seen with my two eyes.
That nuclear bombs drop.
No, for real.
Yeah.
When I see structures like the once 5-star Royalton that look like a bombed out Palestinian hospital.
For real. Yes, I know.
Roofless.
It is how it is.
The paint is stripped off. There are no leaves on the trees for miles.
Yes.
It looked like a desert.
Yes.
No leaf. There are no leaves on the trees.
I was wondering if the trees are still standing, but we know that there's a serious debarking. So I'm wondering if they can come back.
I'm thinking because with the 5 days that I've been away, I have come back now to see that there are some budding, like they're springing back, just a little bit. So I am thinking that there could be some replenishing. There could be some revival. So to speak.
It is
and
crazy.
we don't begin to talk about the mangled mess of electrical wires and cable wires
and poles.
Broken poles in a people's yard, people's roof,
and just hanging up in the air sometimes over your head, and caught up in wires in some vulgar kind of ways. I've never seen anything like this.
No, I mean roofless houses, people managing to pull tarpaulins or tarpaulins over their roof, and then still you have a big
I suppose
gap.
You haven't passed by our house up at Huddersfield. You just described it.
No, for real. I mean, listen.
Roger just talk about rubble that people sitting by their rubbles, which is that them crumpled. What were the houses that they lived in?
Yes. I have seen that too. Where people are outside, they look desperate and desolate.
Yes.
They are lost. They're just walking up and down like, where do I go next?
Yes.
The look on their faces
is
a representation.
It's like deers trapped in headlights.
No man, it is.
This is a kind of feeling generally.
No man, it is sad.
We cannot underscore it, and we cannot stop talking about it because
I can't. Listen, I saw the headlines, I saw the stories, I watched the social media.
Yes.
But seeing it firsthand is a whole different experience because now you're not seeing pictures. You're seeing the miles of
devastation.
Of devastation back to back.
Yes.
And at one point in time I'm saying, is this a movie?
It's dystopic. It's dystopic. No. You feel like you're in some dystopia, like Black Mirror. It's a Black Mirror moment.
Yeah, man, it is.
We have never seen anything like it, and still trying to. So that's why I said, even for us in these areas who don't have electricity, water, and connectivity and so on, we feel guilt talking about it. But there are different levels of suffering, and the backside of this.
People are saying, but you have a roof over your head. You're lucky compared to, mass storm.
Yeah, but if you check a member of your family, they don't have
no, probably not.
Or somebody you know very well.
Yes.
As
I said, there are members of my family that are roofless right now.
There are members of my family that practically homeless. But for us, it is what it is. How things with you, Nicholas from engineering department?
Not bad, just power.
Oh, Mr. Morgan talk about this morning.
And in St. James, we have a site down in St. James because the hurricane.
Everybody hearing him? I don't know if he's being heard. All right, tell the listeners. And Big A is going to get it to a lot of callers and a lot of notes saying that they're not hearing. So
we're getting up back because of the hurricane. Most of the sites are up in the higher mountains in parishes. We have a site down in St. James. That site down because the hurricane blow down the tower. And South Manchester, we're getting up back tomorrow.
Okay. Tomorrow, South Manchester.
So St. Elizabeth can get back.
Okay, all right, for tomorrow. By tomorrow.
Yes.
So how much of Jamaica is currently without Area FM right now?
I would say about
half.
It's about 30%.
30. No, that's a whole lot.
Yeah.
Right.
Not 30% of the coverage that we always out of what we have.
Right.
I think 25-30 somewhere there.
We are out by about 25 to 30%.
We're getting up back quick as possible.
5 years?
Well, I can't tell you, but we're getting up back. We're getting there. There's a lot. If you guys, I don't want to hold up your time. If you guys go up in the mountains and look down, like I went to Dan Figueroa Mountain and looked down in St. Elizabeth.
Right.
It's like a Hiroshima.
No, I know. I know.
It look like Hiroshima.
We don't even have to reach the summit.
Because all the trees them in the mountain, they look brown. Everything's scorched.
Right.
But my estimation is over 200 miles per hour wind. First I ever see something like this. Well, I see Gilbert. I was in Eastern St. Thomas that time when Gilbert. It was nowhere near this. This one, I don't know how to put my words, but this is something that happened. I think this is going to bring more unity amongst us in the community in Jamaica. Right around Jamaica, we're going to have more unity because a lot of people lose their houses, our friends from West.
And that's what I was saying this morning, adopt a family. And I know this is an idea that's coming from the UK, from Ancobia and Rachel and others, that is now taking root here in Jamaica. So thank them for that. And Ira from, of course, Biggie is on the 1-1 Coco, you see?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So
no, it's a campaign that I know of. Yes. I endorsed it remotely, and yeah, man, I certainly know about it.
All right, brilliant.
As I like to say, I like the name of the campaign. I've also added a tagline of my own that says Jamaica Tough.
Jamaica Tough. We love that.
Jamaica Tough.
Begin, see the time, and we'll hand it to you. Did you say Resilient was the best track on the album, Chronics, Exile?
I happen to love that track. I can't remember if it was my favorite track.
Right. For me and you, for both of us, I know it was one of our favorites. And it's a theme song now for all of us.
Right.